All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling a massive challenge that everyone faces. How do you actually find the story that's hiding inside your data? We're going to break it all down consulting style to give you a really clear framework for turning a bunch of raw numbers into decisions you can actually act on.
You know, this question really gets to the heart of the problem. We are all absolutely swimming in data. Sales figures, web traffic, you name it. But when you just look at it in its raw form, it's just noise. A giant spreadsheet is definitely talking, but the real question is, can you actually hear the message it's trying to send?
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the problem, introduce the solution, and then break that solution down into 3 really distinct tools. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll have a complete picture of how to make your data speak loud and clear.
And here's where things get complicated. When you're just staring at a table of numbers, you're basically flying blind. Any patterns, any outliers, the true center of your data, it's all completely hidden. You can stare at that spreadsheet for hours and totally miss the big picture, which makes it pretty much impossible to make smart, informed decisions.
So, what's the solution? Well, it's the frequency plot. This is the amazing tool that transforms all that chaos into a clear visual story. You stop reading endless rows of numbers, and you start seeing the shape of your data, instantly getting a feel for how it's spread out and where it all clumps together.
Okay, before we go any further, just a few quick ground rules. Frequency plots are at their best when you're working with continuous data, things you measure like height or temperature, not things you just count. For a good picture, you'll want at least 50 data points. And this is a big one. We're using this to look at a snapshot in time, not data that changes over time.
All right, let's get to the core of it. We're going to break down frequency plots into 3 essential and mutually exclusive tools. Just think of them as 3 different lenses you can use to look at your data: the histogram, the dot plot, and the box plot.
First up, we've got the histogram. This is your go-to, your workhorse for understanding the overall shape and center of your data, especially when you've got a ton of it. It's all about seeing the whole forest, not getting lost looking at every single tree.
So what is it exactly? Well, a histogram just groups your data into continuous ranges. We call them bins, and then it uses bars to show how many data points fall into each of those bins. The key thing to notice is that the bars are always touching. That's your visual cue that the data is continuous.
Now, as you can see, creating one is a pretty methodical process. It's not magic. You collect your data, decide on your intervals, figure out how wide they should be, count how many data points fall in each one, and then you draw the chart. It's a really structured way to bring some order to all that chaos.
And this is where the magic happens. Just look at this example. You can immediately see that the bar for the 60 to 79 score range is the tallest by far. A quick glance over to the left axis tells you that represents 9 students. Right away, with no math, we know that's where the vast majority of scores are clustered. That's an insight that just leaps right off the page.
Okay, let's move on to our second tool, the dot plot. So if the histogram was about seeing the whole forest, the dot plot is about seeing every single tree. It is the most basic, most direct way to see the frequency of each and every value in your dataset.
The whole concept here is just beautifully simple. You've got a number line, and for every single data point you have, you just place a dot above its value on that line. The number of dots stacked up on top of each other, well, that's its frequency. No bins, no grouping, just a pure, honest look at the data. And making one, as you can probably guess, is just as straightforward. You organize your data, you draw a number line that covers its range, and then you just put a dot for each value. It's so intuitive.
So imagine a number line for, say, swimming sessions, from 1 to 10. Every time a student attended a session, we'd add a dot. What you'd see almost instantly is a big stack of dots piling up over the number 5, taller than any other. You don't need to do a single calculation. You can see the most popular session, the mode, in a split second. That's the real power of the dot plot.
And now for our third and final tool, the box plot. You might also hear this called a box and whisker plot. This thing is an absolute powerhouse when you need a high-level statistical summary, or especially when you want to compare a few different datasets side by side really quickly.
I mean, a box plot packs a crazy amount of information into one tiny graphic. It shows you 5 things all at once: the lowest value, the highest value, the exact middle value, that's the median, and then it draws a box to show you where the core middle 50% of your data lives. It's a complete summary of your data spread, all in a single glance.
Now, building one is a bit more involved, as you can see from the process. You've got to order your data, find the median,
calculate the quartiles to define that box, and then find your min and max to draw the whiskers. Every single step is about finding a key statistical landmark in your data.
So, here's the bottom line. It's all about knowing which tool to use and when. Is your dataset huge? Use a histogram to see the overall shape. Is it smaller? Use a dot plot to see every little detail. And do you need a powerful summary or to compare different groups? That's when you reach for the box plot. They each have a very specific job.
Okay, let's bring it all home. It's not about just picking one of these plots and using it forever. It's about understanding how these different tools can work together to help you build a complete, nuanced, and really accurate story from your data.
So why does any of this matter? Because with these plots, you can instantly see the shape of your data, you can see how your performance stacks up against targets, and you can even start to get a feel for future performance. At the end of the day, it's about moving from guessing to actually knowing. You know, this quote really just sums it all up perfectly. The true magic of these tools is that they give you these profound insights visually. You get to feel the story the data is telling you, intuitively, without having to run a bunch of complex calculations first. So, we'll leave you with this question. You now have the framework, you have the toolkit to start listening to your data. What story is your data waiting to tell?